Happy Thursday, faithful. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report right here on Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for taking time out of your day to rock and roll with us here on the program. Coming up, should the Niners bench Chase Young? We talked about this earlier this week. It got 70,000 views, the show did, and now there's more information, more context on that subject matter, which is certainly a hot topic among Niner fans. And then also another topic that a lot of people are discussing as Cam Newton went back on his podcast and he doubled down saying that Brock Purdy is a game manager and he disrespected him again, calling him the 10th best player on this Niners roster. I have my list of my top 10 Niners on this 2023 team that's coming up at the end of the show. Stay tuned for that. First, I want to say thank you to everybody out there for supporting the show. This has been the most successful year in the history of the 49ers Report. This has been the most successful football season in the history of this great show, and the numbers certainly back that up. Since September 1st, the 49ers Report has picked up nearly 33,000 subscribers. In the month of January alone, we've reached 3 million people, and we've had 9,400 people subscribe to the show. And that's why we're the largest independently run Niners channel on YouTube that covers this team every day on the news, rumors, and analysis front. We're closing in on 117,000 subscribers. Hit that sub button right now because I'm going to Vegas on Monday morning, and I'll be covering Super Bowl 58 from Monday to Friday back here in the Chat Sports studios for a watch party for the Super Bowl. We're going to catch up with players. We're going to talk to other content creators. We're going to chop it up with some coaches. You can expect all of this for our Las Vegas coverage. Endless content. Hoping to meet up with a couple of our loyal subscribers. So if you're going, reach out to me on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Live shows, the whole shebang for the Bang Bang Niner gang. Chase Young latest. Let's get to that to begin the show. Chatter, debates about him being benched for Super Bowl 58. There was a rumor, a report out on X that maybe the Niners are unhappy with his lack of effort, and because of that, they're thinking about sitting him. And the play that really came into question for Chase Young was on the Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown run, the third touchdown of the game for Detroit, which put the Lions up 21-7, in which Chase Young could be seen jogging to the ball carrier, not having a lot of effort, certainly wasn't running full speed. A lot of other Niners were missing tackles on that play, but then as Young got close to Jahmyr Gibbs, kind of gave him a swipe and did nothing to keep him out of the end zone. It was an embarrassing effort. Now, to Young's credit, context always important, made solid plays against the run in the second half. He made his presence be felt, and he was an impact player. And also, to be fair, no Niners defenders really played well in that first half of action. But the issue with Chase Young is this. He came into the league out of Ohio State with so much pedigree. Number 2 pick in 2020 by the Washington Commanders. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's an insane athlete who moves so beautifully on the field for that size of 6'5", 264. His ability and potential is insane. It flashes all the time. You see him play football. You see him walking around on the street. You're like, that dude is one of one. He's a freaky athlete with twitch, with physicality, and he can win at the point of attack regardless of the opposing offensive lineman. But it seems as though he wins when he wants to. He's in a contract year, and his lack of effort isn't doing anything to earn him that bag, and these effort issues have persisted. That was the word coming out of Washington once they traded him away to San Francisco, and now we're seeing those things bubble to the surface here with the Niners. And a lot of the fans' frustrations come from the lack of production from Chase Young, because he was somewhat underwhelming after the trade. With the Commanders on a lesser team, he had 5 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, 6 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, 12 solo tackles. But with the Niners in 9 games, he only had 2.5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass breakup, and 10 solo tackles. You'd think operating next to Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa, those sack numbers would increase dramatically. They didn't. They actually went down in more games. And before Clelin Ferrell got hurt, I thought it was pretty telling that the Niners were either not starting Chase Young in some games or not giving him consistent run because they had more trust in Clelin Ferrell, who got more significant snaps even after the Chase Young trade. What's also a concerning trend for Chase Young, if you're him, is that the Niners seem to have this lack of trust and faith in him. His snaps in the regular season were down when you would have thought that they would go up after the trade just because he's a special player. And don't hit me with he's still coming back from that knee injury. That was like multiple seasons ago at this point. But you look at the snaps and the grades against the Detroit Lions. Nick Bosa was the best defensive player on the field against Detroit in the NFC title game. He played 70 snaps. He earned a Pro Football Focus grade of 80.2. Chase Young's snap counts all the way down to 56 here with the Pro Football Focus grade of 57.2. Has to be better against Kansas City, and is he going to play a little bit more against the Chiefs? You look further at some of these snaps and the grades, Kevin Givens, Randy Gregory, Sebastian Joseph Day, Robert Beal Jr. I know a lot of fans have said, I want more from Randy Gregory in place of Chase Young. I want more of Robert Beal Jr. instead of Chase Young. The effort level might be higher, and sometimes coaches look at the tape, they see that, and that's the last straw. But the issue here is this as well. Clelin Ferrell is injured, and not only do the Niners need Chase Young desperately to beat Kansas City, to bring that 6th Lombardi trophy back to the Niners organization, they need him to play well as a pass rusher, a disruptor, and against the run, because there is a formula to beat Patrick Mahomes. Super Bowl 55, he was pressured on 29 of 56 dropbacks, the most for any quarterback in Super Bowl history. He was sacked 3 times, hit 10 times, as the Bucs registered those 10 quarterback hits. And that's what the Niners need to do. Not only do they have to pressure Patrick Mahomes, they have to get to him and get him on the ground to win the football game, and Chase Young has to be a part of that. But also stopping the run with Isaiah Pacheco is important in stopping this Chiefs offensive attack, which has really started to find its rhythm in the playoffs here the last 3 games. Robert Beal Jr., Randy Gregory, the rotation options, okay? You traded for Chase Young for a reason. Sometimes it just comes down to Chase Young putting in the effort level. And they don't have the tantalizing potential that Chase Young does, do Beal and Gregory. This is something also that Kyle Shanahan was asked about on Thursday. He said he was disappointed in pursuit plays. The Chase Young, Jahmyr Gibbs play, that was a pursuit play. Shanahan adding, whenever you're expecting someone else to make the tackle, bad things happen. And it looked like that's what happened with Chase Young. Lollygagging to the ball, not running hard, not making any effort to actually tackle Jahmyr Gibbs. Other Niners defenders were like, who's going to make the play? Chase Young. You're way too talented. I'm too big of a fan to see you just not put forward an effort. It's unacceptable, especially in a contract year, especially for the right to play in Super Bowl 58. Now, I want you to be the head coach. I want you to be the defensive coordinator here. Have a collaborative conversation between Kyle Shanahan and Steve Wilks. What should the Niners do with Chase Young? S for start or B for bench? Respond to that pinned comment on this video right now. Now, coming up on the show right around the corner, Cam Newton on his podcast doubling down, saying that Brock Purdy is a game manager and disrespecting him once again. Also, my top 10 Niners on this team coming up. You got to embrace debate. But first, you have to embrace the gloriousness that is Prize Picks, America's largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America, and they make daily fantasy sports so easy. You can win up to 25 times your money, and on top of that, you can get a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS. The picks that I like for Super Bowl 58, Prize Picks running a special right now. Patrick Mahomes, more than a half passing yard. Yeah, passing yard. Gimme. Isaiah Pacheco, given the Niners' struggles in stopping the ground game, more than a half total touchdown, and Brock Purdy, more than 248.5 passing yards. I think that the pass game can have success for the Niners in this game. Easy and exciting daily fantasy, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS for that $100 deposit match. Cam Newton disrespecting Brock Purdy again. He called Purdy the 10th best player on the San Francisco 49ers. I have thoughts on that. We also want to show you exactly what Cam Newton had to say because he's not apologizing at all. Obviously, to set the table for this conversation, Purdy's importance to the Niners as the quarterback, which is the most important position in all of sports, is massive. Now, if we're talking about straight-up football players on this team, where will Brock Purdy rank? Here are my top 10 Niners, and I'm talking about it from the standpoint, from the viewpoint of overall football players. Trent Williams is one of the best left tackles of all time. Fred Warner is one of the best off-ball linebackers of all time. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs of all time. Nick Bosa is a supremely talented edge who won Defensive Player of the Year last year. George Kittle is an all-pro, as is Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey, and Nick Bosa. Brandon Ayuk, a second-team all-pro. Debo has a first-team all-pro to his name. I'm putting Brock Purdy at number 8 behind those 7 players. Charvarius Ward was a second-team all-pro this year. You could make the argument he should take the place of Brock Purdy. And then I have Kyle Juszczyk coming in at number 10 because he's literally been the best fullback in football for quite some time. There are other players who are deserving recognition. I'll throw 2 more names out there. Eric Armstead, Deommodore Lenoir. On top of that, you could put Dre Greenlaw in that list upon another look. And the reason I didn't put Talanoa Hufanga, who was an all-pro last year in 2022, season-ending injury with that torn ACL, so technically he's not active on this roster right now. But that goes to show you how loaded the San Francisco 49ers team is. Where do you think Purdy ranks? You let me know. Now, here's what Cam Newton had to say on the game manager comments. Man, look, I ain't recanting ish. And if you really want to just be honest, if you add in the defensive talent and you add in the offensive talent, Brock Purdy is the 10th best player on this team. Okay, cool. Did he have a great game? Yes. Has he been playing out of his mind? Yes. Is he a quarterback that's hot? Yes. Do quarterbacks just stay hot for a year and a half? And does a quarterback who's in year 2 just routinely, always, throughout the course of NFL history, make it to back-to-back NFC Championship games? Those are my questions for Cam Newton. Is this a quarterback who is a game manager or a game changer? He's 17-4 in his career. He's now 4-1 in the NFL playoffs. He's been to the Final Four game, NFC Championship game, 2 years in a row. This year, as a first-year full-time starter, throughout his NFL career now, he's thrown 44 touchdowns, 15 picks, and I think the people are just way too quick to come to a conclusion or to not give Brock Purdy his flowers and to really rip him apart, considering the fact he is a year 2 player. If Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl this year, he'll become the youngest quarterback in the history of the NFL to win a Super Bowl. And what the box score doesn't show people who just go box score hunting like a lot of the national media folks or like Cam Newton, the numbers don't show you how Brock excels with timing, accuracy, anticipation, how he processes fast and dissects the defense, how he can extend and make plays with his legs, either running it or getting out of the pocket to throw it. The box score doesn't show poise, pocket feel, and toughness. And Brock Purdy is an underrated athlete with his arm strength, his deep ball, and the ability to make plays with his legs. You want to talk about a game manager or a game changer, look no further than what Jimmy Garoppolo brought to this Niners team. Compared to Brock Purdy, in 2 games preceding the Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan's play calling said it all. He didn't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. He only threw it 27 times in 2 games before the Super Bowl in 2019, 17-27. Completed 63% of his passes. He threw for 208 yards. -1 rushing yard. Total first downs, 14. Purdy, though, he threw it 70 times. Completed 61% of his passes. Threw for 519 yards. Gave the Niners 62 rushing yards and 29 first downs. More than double Garoppolo's output. That right there is game manager to the left and game changer to the right on the graphic that we just showed you. Cam Newton, come on now. And is this a game manager as well? Passing touchdowns, number 3 this year. Yards per attempt, number 1. Deep ball completion percentage, number 1. I thought he couldn't throw the deep ball. He had a noodle arm. Pressured completion percentage, number 4. Red zone completion percentage, number 2. So he's excelling in a condensed field. True passer rating, number 1. QBR EPA, number 1. Receiver target separation, number 14 in deep ball catchable rate, number 1. These people will just say anything to get clicks because they understand that Brock Purdy's going to drive ratings. And what will they have to say if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl? They'll still be searching for reasons as to why Brock Purdy isn't going to cut it. But all he has to do is win one game over Mahomes and Andy Reid, and that'll silence a lot of the critics forever. So where would you rank Purdy among your top 10 Niners of all time or on this team? You let me know. Quarterbacks all time on this current roster 1 to 10. We appreciate you for watching. We'll catch you next time here on the show.